Hey, what's up, Blazer fans? Welcome to We Have a Take the What podcast. I am Tara Bowen Biggs, joined as always by Rose Harding. Hello, Rose.
Hi, Tara. How are you this evening?
Oh my gosh, this whole evening thing, we are recording at a different time of day. Who knows what is going to happen? We could go completely off the rails after dark, or it could turn out that we are night people and we should always record it in the evening. Who knows? But that's a little bit something different from us. And we are fortunate enough to have somebody who can keep us on track, who, if we do go off the rails, we are so happy to be joined by Conor Bergin today. He is from Blazers Edge. You know him. He covers the team. He gets to go there in person and interview folks. He's also part of the We Like the Blazers podcast over there on Blazers Edge. So, Conor, welcome to We Have a Take.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me on the podcast. I'm like trying to go on all the Blazers themed podcasts, so this is an important step in my journey.
Well, with the way that this year is going, and we're trying to figure out how to talk about it and what to talk about it, I think we're all going to be doing a lot of visiting each other and just kind of like holding each other in our in our thoughts and virtually trying to hold it together.
Yeah, no, community is very important this year in this Blazers season.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Since it's your first time on the podcast, I prepared an icebreaker, which I will say I know are controversial. Not everybody likes icebreakers, but it's a little bit fun. It's Saturday night. Let's get a little wild. Um, so my question for you all tonight is if you could give the Blazers one gift, what would it be? And it could be anything. It could be like well, I hope it's not a third Cybertruck, but it could be a third Cybertruck.
Are there
But,
two? I thought there was just one Cybertruck.
Scoot and Delano Banton both have Cybertrucks.
I did.
I'm
I knew.
here to
I knew
report.
about. I knew about Delano. I did not know about Scoot.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
unless somebody's gotten rid of one lately.
No, I'm sure it's still there. I gotta keep my eyes out.
Yeah. So,
Well,
Tara, do you want to start?
so I will go first, and as usual. So just for the record, I do not hate icebreakers. However, I never usually answer the actual question. I usually just blurt out what was on my mind. So I will try to form what was on my mind into an answer for this icebreaker. And here's the thing that was on my mind that I would um, consider gifting the Blazers. I would like to somehow combine the Jerami Grant and Jabari Walker's skills because it
Oh.
has been so fun. I've been so happy to see my heart Jabari Walker get back out on the court. He's been sitting on the bench a lot, and I don't know if he's sad about it, but in my heart I'm sad for him because we know we love to play. And we always get to see a lot of Jabari Walker in the second half of the season, but we haven't gotten to see him very much. And the last maybe it was the last game or one of the last few games that he played out with the out he got out there and played with so much heart and was just ripping the ball away from people and rebounding. And there's so much good about Jerami Grant's game. And we all know that he's just not a natural rebounder. Maybe it's because other people are already there, like grabbing the rebounds. But I think it would be really fun to add to Jerami Grant that just nose for the ball that Jabari always seems to have. Grabbing the ball. And I don't know. I just would love to gift the Blazers the to have them find a player that combines the best of those two players. How's that?
I, I,
Did I answer the question?
yeah, I think you did. When you first said Jabari Walker and Jeremy Grant into one player, the first thing I thought was like, you just want Jeremy Grant who can rebound. Um, which is fine.
Well,
That's not his thing. He does so many other good things. Like this is the one thing that he doesn't do that a lot of other power forwards do. Um, yeah, I think that's fair. Also, I would like that's a power forward everybody wants, is it not? The one who shoots really well and also rebounds really well.
I was gonna say Jabari Walker who can shoot is just like that would be amazing. It's the one thing he's really missing.
He's been shooting from three this year. And I don't, is that on
well,
purpose? Are they
I
like looking
mean,
for those?
that's what they want him to be. It hasn't gone great
Yeah,
It's
I've
been a
just
this
seen
mixed
him
season.
like
it's been a mixed bag, yeah.
I feel like everybody now is just trying to add a 3-point shot. It's like
Well,
if you
yeah.
don't like this like everybody but like everybody's got the green light to shoot it from out there. Whereas like back in the day you didn't get to like start shooting those unless it was really late in the shot clock or something has gone wrong.
Maybe that's why he hasn't been playing, is because he was trying too many threes, and then now because of so many centers being injured, they had to play Jabari, and so he got his chance. He got to get out there and start shooting those threes. And
It
maybe that's why he wasn't playing earlier. I don't know. Anyway,
seems
that's my wish.
Okay. I love it. Connor, what about you?
Yeah, this dovetails nicely off of talking about shooting because I would just love the Blazers to have the power to shoot like just regular every game
Shoot
because
just regular.
just regular, like it doesn't have to be amazing. Some amazing games are fun, but like just these games where they shoot like 7% from three and they're shooting like 25% from the field are so painful. And there'll be stretches in games where they're good. And then they'll go through like a 9 minute stretch where nobody can score. And when you're at the arena, it just gets so lifeless. And so if that was gone, I think a lot of Blazer games would be pretty fun. And that's so like I'm trying to think of what average NBA shooting is from three, but like what, like 35%? Is
35,
it?
let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
that's
they just
safe.
shoot 35, I think that would fix a lot of problems.
I like just be average. It's like when you give someone like you give them socks and like they really need socks and like they're warm and like your all your other socks were like, there was only one left or they had holes in them or whatever. So it's like it's great. It's exactly what you needed, even if maybe it wasn't the most exciting gift out there, but it's exactly what you need.
Yeah, just dependable.
Yes, love it.
Hmm.
I love that. And also like honestly like just shooting regular every game and not having to worry about that would be amazing because like there's so many things to worry about when your team is rebuilding. You're like, I would like to just take this one off my list of things that I'm worried about. Shoot regular. I love it.
I bet Orlando would like to shoot regular.
I was about to
Yeah.
say it was weird to see another team do it. I was
Oh, I
like,
know, right?
oh, I was like, yeah, this is kind of fun when it's somebody else.
I had the opposite feeling. I saw that and I was like, is this how people feel when they look at us? Is this how other teams feel when they look at us? I'm embarrassed right now.
Well, I'm hoping they aren't looking at all. Like that's one thing I like about this whole rebuilding thing is everybody's looking somewhere else. They're not paying attention to what the Blazers are doing right now.
I kind of forgot how many players like the Magic lost this year because when I was looking at them and I knew they lost both the Wagners or whatever and I was like, God, are they really only two Wagners short of being what they used to be? Because they look like they're more than that. But then I forgot like Goga was out and
There's a whole
other
list.
yeah like whatever Greg Anthony's son's name is Cole
Cole,
Anthony.
Cole
Cole
Anthony,
Anthony, yeah.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, you got a bunch of guys missing. It's not just like you're two Wagner short and then you're supposed to be really good because
What about
okay,
you,
so
Rose?
the thing the thing that I would like to give the Blazers, well, okay, okay, no, I won't spoil my take now. Okay, no, the thing that I would like to give the Blazers is like, how do I like? I want them to get like a guy who is in the mold of a player coach. Like,
Hmm.
you know how we used to have
Yeah.
the player coach
Yeah,
and,
Mo
we
Williams.
and we know the guys kind of function that way. Like that's why people want Chris Paul. Chris Paul functions that way on a lot of on teams at this point in his career. And like, Bill Russell, obviously a very famous player coach. Um, but
Oh,
I would
you're
love
talking about like seriously coach. I was thinking like Mo Williams season vet, but you're talking about
no.
like
Like remember
coaching
they used to
brain.
actually have a
Got it.
player coach. Like you know what I mean? Like
Got
'cause
it.
that was Bill Russell was for that
Uh-huh.
Celtics team. Like I want one of those. Can we get one of those? Are those jobs that we can open and post for? Because
Do you have someone in mind?
I don't because the thing is like I think that actual role has been gone for so long that like people it's hard to know who would actually fill it today because guys aren't looking to be that. Um But I just think about like guys who come like we have had a lot of unofficial guys that come to our team that are not there to play big minutes, but there to like impart their knowledge on the team for whatever reason and share like their expertise. Maybe they're thinking of going into coaching. I'm thinking about when we had Earl Watson on this team. Like there's guys that definitely want to do that, but in the absence of like this like quote leader that we're looking for, like why couldn't we maybe try to find one of these guys like who actually doesn't isn't going to be there playing like, 30 minutes a game or whatever, like, and who isn't going to be the best player in your team. He's going to play minutes very sparingly, but like be able to like help coach up his teammates.
Well, Pooch
Anyway,
Eater's only a couple years removed from the G League. Maybe he could suit up.
he could, I'm sure.
Connor, do you have any ideas?
I just like the concept of bringing back player coaches. Like that just seems so old school. And trying to think, yeah, because there's really no lead. Like Chauncey even like will say, he's like, yeah, we don't have a vocal force on this team really. And I guess like Robert Williams is the closest on this team, but he's so chill that like it would also be funny to see him in a coaching role. At least now. Um, I don't know. Yeah, nothing jumps to my mind.
The
Maybe
other
the
thing Oh, so the other thing that I think that made me think of this is how like it's really been interesting to see how hard it is for some veterans to get all of their years of service to retirement in the NBA. And like I think that there's a huge focus now on those rookie scale contracts in terms of controlling your cap. And people don't always want to sign vets because they know what their ceiling is. They'd rather bet on youth and whatever. It's like gambling, you know what I mean? And so like what happens when you get to these guys that are 8 years into the league, but they can't find the last 2 years? Like, wouldn't it be great if you could get those last 2 years as a player coach? Like, I don't know. It would just be nice if that were like an official role and we had like more ways to incorporate veterans longer and when they like are definitely leaving the league, maybe not like at their like physical peak, but like at their like experience peak. Like,
Yeah, just call it like it is. Like Udonis Haslam was basically a coach for like the last 5 years of his career. So just like,
yeah.
are you saying just incorporate it, just make it a position, like a grad assistant coach or something in the college, kind of similar to that.
Yeah, and just like encourage teams to have like veterans with that kind of experience on their team instead of just using every single roster spot for somebody who's under the age of 24. Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like there might be something missing with that. Also, like, Udonis Haslam retired, and now look at the Heat.
They went to shambles.
Yes, now look at the Heat. Oh,
Darn.
we could go on like that. Okay, well, let's go ahead and switch over to getting to know Connor. So, what we like to do, especially with first-time guests, is just find out like how did you get into basketball? Where did the basketball part of your current role, how did you get inspired in that way?
Yeah, I grew up in a definitely a sports family, like youngest of three brothers, so they played basketball. My parents were big Blazers fans. I grew up in Southeast Portland, and grew up playing basketball. I've been the same height since like fifth grade.
Oh wow.
So I'm 5'11", so it's kind of lame to say that you were really good at basketball from like third to eighth grade, but I was really good at basketball from third to eighth grade. And early on, one, I will say my fandom was Blazers like from the beginning. And my parents uh, raised me with like a strong fan uh, fan morals. Like it was like you root for your team no matter what. And you root for your team that's in your city. So
Okay.
I was very angry at people who jumped on the Kobe Bryant bandwagon. Um, I just because I grew up when the Blazers sucked, and I grew up during the jail Blazers was like when I first started getting into basketball. I was like early elementary school, um, which now I'm kind of realizing that maybe that's unique because for most of the Blazers' history, they've been good or like around good. Um, so I kind of had this impression that the Blazers were like lovable underdogs once Brandon Roy came around and LaMarcus Aldridge, and that was just so exciting when that team got there. Like I was at the perfect age to be super, super inspired by that. Um, so yeah, just it was a lot of playing basketball, a lot of watching the Blazers, and I think I realized early on that like adults kind of made fun of you if you said you wanted to play in the NBA. So my like pivot from that was like, well, I'm gonna play college, but I want to be like an ESPN anchor or a sports writer.
Hmm.
So I kind of just like I joined the high school newspaper from there at Cleveland High School, and then did journalism in college. And I will say the like I grew up reading the Oregonian, and the Blazers was always like I think I'm more interested in the Blazers than I am in the NBA. Like I
Hmm.
like the NBA, but the Blazers is like what I'm most interested in. So that's what I'm. Long story short is I'm most excited to write about the Blazers. Like I'm familiar with their story
Yeah.
and their like heartbreak over decades. Like
Yeah.
I'm more fascinated by that than any other storyline. So it's been pretty weird this year getting to write
Yeah.
so closely to the team.
Well, so to back up just a little bit, you talked about when Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge came in, that being sort of like a big revelation to you. Who were some of your players throughout, the childhood, some of the big stars, and did you have any like kind of under the radar favorites?
Man, okay, well Brandon Roy obviously. Jarrett Jack was my first autograph.
Okay.
That was a big deal. I think I have three Jarrett Jack autographs because I
Wow.
he was at like the 3-on-3 hoop thing, the summer tournament. He just I for some reason kept running into Jarrett Jack and got his autograph every time. Who else?
I mean, maybe it wasn't the right time to have that many.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, Sergio Rodriguez and Rudy
Oh, right
Fernandez
on.
was like
Yes.
so cool. The
Yeah.
Spanish Armada. Yeah, and then just like Dame came on pretty fast after that.
Mhm.
Um, oh, and Wesley. Like Wesley is definitely kind of the like I found it after Brandon Roy left that Damian Lillard was so good, and I just got so used to it that
Mhm.
I got more enjoyment when other players started to do well. Um, so like
We
Wes or like seeing CJ kind of like turn into something that became almost more exciting.
we talk about here like how we just got so spoiled by having Damian Lillard for so long. We just got so used to someone who could just do that. And
Yeah.
it's been such a shock to our systems to like to lose that.
No, yeah, it leaves like a bigger hole than I was expecting. Because yeah, like I got like kind of numb to it. I was like, yeah, he's gonna score 50, and that's kind of what people do. And now it's like, oh God, like I said, just like we want people who shoot regular.
Yeah, let's score 50 and a half. We can do it.
Hmm.
It's fun.
When you
It's Oh, I was gonna ask you. It's funny that you ran into Jarrett Jack three times and like nobody else.
Yeah,
Because
I
it
saw
kind of like,
Theo Ratliff at an airport one time. That was my other when I was like in first grade.
but I do think it like kind of speaks to that era of the Blazers because like when they were the jail Blazers, like the franchise didn't. I don't want to say they hid the guys, but like it wasn't the same way that they could like trot out Damian in our community. Like like they were like I feel like doing like damage control and stuff like that about some of like the things that our players were getting in trouble for. And then after that it led to I think like a an era of them looking for high character guys, whatever that means exactly, but guys you wouldn't get into trouble when they were on our team.
Oh yeah, that was a big like I got swept up in that marketing campaign big time. Like I thought Brandon Roy was because yeah they really started putting out their personalities and like these are guys you can look up to and being in third grade I was like that was like spoon fed to me.
Mhm.
Actually I did I brought a little because I was cleaning out my room yesterday and I found my like second grade or like elementary school box and I knew I was coming on the pod so I was like oh like I was like let me see if there's any writing in here and this is like I think this is second grade and I wrote about Brandon Roy And if I hope you don't mind if I read a
Oh,
little bit
please
of.
Yes,
do. It's
please.
required now.
So, okay, and this was for a speech. If you live in Portland, Oregon, you've probably heard of the Blazers. And if you've heard of the Blazers, you must have heard of their two-time All-Star guard, Brandon Roy. Brandon Roy has led the Portland Trailblazers basketball team to the playoffs after a 6-year playoff drought, and he's done all of this in only his third year in the NBA, in parentheses, the National Basketball Association. He is known for his calm and collective play on the court, but how did this man become who he is today? That's what I'm going to tell you. And I noticed a theme when I looked through this. There was a lot of "that's what I'm going to tell you" in my writing. He wears number 7 on his jersey and is 6 foot 6 inches tall and weighs 225 pounds. And a 60-inch vertical comes in handy every once in a while. I love that's a little color from. And then my teacher's note that was in here is, "What is a vertical? Please explain in your speech." And I'm like, come on, you got these people need to know. And then there's like a bunch of blank space and nothing, and then there's just like an ending. So I don't know what the body of it all was, but it just says whether it's hitting game-winning shots or scoring 52 points in a game, he does it all in his own way, the Roy way. And that's it.
The Roy way.
Which
Oh
I'm
my
like, what does that mean? But that was so like the love was deep. The love, like it was it's in my roots. So
Well,
for
and the wanting to tell people about it. I love
yeah.
that. Like
Oh,
that was your like I'm going to give a speech about Brandon Roy.
it was a big part of my personality because I grew up like Sports Center. Just I thought about this like the sports world makes it seem so important with like ESPN and just like around the clock coverage. And so like when you're a kid, like you really think it's all that important. I thought like I was obsessed with ESPN and like I knew everything that was going on for like so long. And then I got a little bit older and I was like, oh, like this is fun, but like there's more to life than like 24 hours sports. But as a kid, like I was fully engaged in that whole, just the whole thing.
Oh my God, I love this. But you're still like pursuing the
And now I'm back.
telling the stories. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So, tell us a little bit about like, how you got to where you are now. You said that you wrote for your high school paper. Were you playing basketball at the same time as you were writing, or by that time had you just pivoted to just being a writer?
I was still trying to play basketball. I kind of had like a Greg Oden downfall in my basketball career. I had knee surgery my freshman year
Oh
and
no.
missed the whole year because my knee kept dislocating. And then I came back and then I dislocated my other knee sophomore year. So I missed like all of sophomore year and half of junior year. So at that point, I was like, well, I should probably really focus on this riding thing.
Hmm.
So I was like, clearly, I kept playing, but I was not very good anymore after the knee surgeries. And went to college. I went to Loyola Chicago, which was weird because they weren't really known for basketball. And I was actually trying to go to Northwestern, which, if you, that's like the peak of journalism. And my college counselor was like, that's kind of hard to get into, but Loyola Chicago is 15 minutes away and you could get in there. And I was like, okay, cool. Um, but then they made it to the Final Four my freshman year,
Perfect.
which was like a crazy like Cinderella run. And I was on the sports newspaper, and I was also in like the broadcasting club. And so I got to go to like the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16 that year for that. That was kind of just too much, too fast. Like I was stammering during questions and just it was a lot, but it was very exciting too. Like I look back now and enjoy it a lot more. But the thing is, I quit the newspaper my sophomore year, just because I was writing a lot about track. And I was like, I don't really like writing about track. And it was kind of a lot to do on top of class. And I was like, I let it go. And
Mhm.
then COVID happened. And um, so I came home and I had a year left of school after COVID, but everything kind of stopped, and I was like, I got to start figuring out what I'm going to do now a little bit more. And I was like, you want to be a journalist, but you're not really writing. So I was like, probably need to start writing somewhere. And I wrote a few fan posts for Blazers Edge, which you must have been there at this time, Tara, I think, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
I was there up until 2020. So if you had just gotten back, I was there in a ways into 2020. So yeah, we probably
yeah.
crossed paths a little bit.
Yeah, so I started writing uh about because the team came back for the bubble or whatever, and I started writing
Yep.
about that, and I was like, oh, maybe if I write really good, the main page will put it up. Um, so I wrote the story about like the Damian Lillard buzzer beater, um, and like my connection to Rip City, and kind of a little bit of what I've already talked about here.
Okay, I'm
And
sorry, which buzzer beater? Because there's
oh
been so
yeah,
many.
duh. There was
One in the
the
bubble?
No, 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 no. Sorry, yeah. This I wrote like a memory
Okay, like the
of
Houston or the OKC one.
The Houston one.
Okay.
And I wrote about that moment because it was this okay, not to get too deep or anything, but my mom had a stroke in like 2012. So 2014 was like pretty early on when she was adjusting to like just she needs care a lot and like caregiver or just like lack of independence now.
Hmm.
So we were watching that game in like like her hospital bed at her house, and
Oh,
it was
wow.
like I'll have to like send you the link because I talk about it all there, but like he makes that shot and she like was cheering so loudly and like moving her arms very like at the moment it happened. I saw her move her arms so much and I didn't realize she could really yet. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like a whoa, like that's a cool image that sports has brought.
Hmm.
So I wrote about that. Didn't get it on the main page, but like it got some nice comments and like kind of encouraged me to keep writing. And I wrote a few more that year for the fan posts, and then I started a blog because I was out of school and because of my mom and her health condition, like we were really strict about the bubble and like not
Hmm.
going out. So I wasn't working. I literally just I had like 6 months to like not do anything. And I started this blog where I was going back to my high school vision board that had like 40 or like 101 goals. And I noticed that I completed like five of them. And I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. So the whole like theme of the blog was just to write about my experience of trying to complete the goals. There's so much basketball. Like all my goals were basketball related. And
That's,
like
can you think of some of them?
oh my God, like do 50 push-ups every morning and every night and run a mile every day and do 15 minutes of ball handling. I was like, oh my God, dude, why'd you like so much basketball? And then there was some stuff like practice your broadcast voice and stuff and like practice this on writing. So it was a weekly blog where I would write about it kind of was like an excuse to write about anything. And one of the weeks, and this is going to lead back to the Blazers. We're almost there. One of the weeks, I had nothing to really write about. Like I was just like, oh, okay, I'm not going to write about like me doing push-ups. And I there was a Mark Plumley on Blazers Edge. He used to write there a little bit. He made a poem about Mario Hezonja because this was right after Mario Hezonja wasn't coming back, and it was called like the Ballad of Mario or something like that. It was like a very funny, like kind of half serious, half joking poem that he wrote about just how bad Mario Hezonja is.
He was going to save the team. He was going to be Neil Olshey's big move
Him
to
and
get
Anthony
Damian
Tolliver.
Lillard the help
Yeah.
he needed.
Yeah, so well, then at the end of the poem, he put out like a call, and he was like, "Let this be a thing, or I'm putting out a contest. If anybody wants to write a poem about the Blazers, like do it." And so I was like, you know what? I'll write my thing this week. I didn't really like have anything. I'll just write a poem and just call it a day. And I ended up writing. I was just starting to really get into Blazers Edge and kind of figuring out about the community that's there and in the comments. And so I wrote what turned into be or like was what was supposed to be a poem turned into like a little article about just my Blazers fandom and how Blazers Edge kind of was helping me stay connected, even though I was mostly living in Chicago for school. And then I tweeted it at Dave Deckard, um, and he put that on the main page. And so that was kind of like my connection or like my early connection in. And uh, the next year, I went back to school in Chicago and I needed to get an internship. And I was like, oh, like maybe I could. And I had nothing. I like was running out of options. And I was like, oh, I'll check out. I'll see if I can make Blazers Edge my internship. And it worked. And Dave let me on the staff. And I've been there now for like 3 years. And now yeah, this last year has really been like the last 2 years I really started, I would say, like going for it and like trying to somehow make this like a career.
Well, going for it, you have a press pass, and that's something that I believe Blazers Edge hadn't had for a while. They hadn't really, I don't think the Blazers were letting a lot of people in, but it seems like they've expanded a little bit, and so now you're able to like cover the team in person. What's
Hmm.
that been like?
It's been exciting. It's been weird to uh kind of like it still feels like training a little bit, and it's just weird that I'm going through all that while talking to Chauncey Billups. And like I grew up, like my mom's from Ohio, so we were pretty big Pistons fans a little bit. Again, Blazers were number one, but there was some Pistons love, so we knew, like I knew Chauncey Billups from that.
Wait, I have a
And
question.
yeah.
Why does that make sense that if people from Ohio like the Pistons?
Oh, okay. Good question. She lived in Toledo, and Toledo is 30 minutes away from Detroit. So
Oh,
they
okay.
get a little, there's a little crossover there. It's been weird, like just getting used to the schedule and kind of the grind of like the last few years at Blazers Edge. If I wasn't feeling it, I could not write something. And now it's like it's more of a job a little bit where it's like I need to write something tonight out of after this game that they just got beat by like 25. But all in all, I don't know. It's kind of hard to answer, a hard question to answer. Because I feel like I want to say a lot of things about it. But
What do you
overall, yeah.
Well, like when you first started, I imagine there was a lot of new stuff that you had to figure out. Like, what are some things that you've gotten comfortable with as you've been around the team more and been around Chauncey Billups and like, okay, this is Chauncey Billups, but like I got to get my question in. So what are some of the things that you've gotten more comfortable with?
Yeah, just probably asking questions. The first day at media day was like the first two questions I asked. Oh my God. Like I don't think it comes across too much in the video, but that was a lot. Like it's just like it didn't feel like I was talking. And now everything's recorded, so it's like not only are you dealing with the pressure of asking the question, but if you mess up, like it could go on YouTube and then everybody can make fun of you a little bit. But just asking questions has gotten more at ease. Figuring out like what the task of figuring out what I'm gonna write has gotten easier. There was a few games where I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna make out of this because I do a report after every home game that's like I need to find some like deeper meaning in a game, and not every game is like deeper meaning. So I've gotten better at kind of just finding storylines, also speed. The first few articles I wrote, I was up to like 6 a.m. And now that has slowly been going down throughout the season. And just uh, kind of figuring out like you'll go through 2 weeks of being like really busy and you'll feel great. And then they go away and you don't feel productive at all. And like I'm I'm getting more efficient with like when I'm writing and knowing um knowing when like knowing that's okay, that like there's gonna be weeks where there's not a lot to write, and just like not getting worried about that, and just knowing, hey, they're gonna be back in a day, and then you're gonna be writing a lot for 10 days.
What kinds of stuff do you prefer to write about? It seems to me from like watching what you've written, you seem like a guy who likes to like write features and kind of talk about the people. But I don't know, maybe you also like to do analysis or like to do some of the more like game related stuff. What's kind of your favorite stuff to write?
You hit it on the head. Yeah, it's definitely more like feature and narratives. I am not the biggest basketball and like analytics guy in advanced stats. I definitely am more into players' personalities. I really grew up liking Jason Quick a lot. Like that type of those types of stories. Um, and it's been a little bit hard to do those because I think it takes time to get the connections to do those. So I'm hoping to be able to do more. I wrote a piece about Donovan Clingan like in UConn, and because I only just got locker room access like a month ago. And that was one of the things I went into the locker room. I saw he had Andre Drummond's jersey from the Sixers game on his chair, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Why do you have Andre Drummond's jersey?" And he learned that they both went to UConn. So with like more time spending around these guys, yeah, I'm hoping to be able to do more narrative type stuff.
I bet everybody who covers the team, if they want to do a good job, has to spend a lot of time worrying about building up that trust because these guys have been under the microscope for so long. I got to think that they're pretty guarded.
Yeah, I'm kind of coming up to them like, "Hey, it's Connor." Like I'm kind of like I'm a friendly guy, and then I'm kind of remembering, "Oh, wait, you're press and they don't know who you are." So like uh it's definitely an adjustment to I'm just figuring out how to like socialize with players, and it's a weird social thing to navigate. Like every month there's been like a new thing kind of like layering on that has kept me uh from feeling like totally sure about everything. Like in the beginning, it just was asking questions and kind of figuring out how this works and going to practice every day. And now it's like, okay, you've passed that. Now you need to figure out how to actually talk to these guys without like a formal interview setting. Um, so yeah, it's just been a lot of things to adjust to.
Do you have any favorite stories or stories that you really remember that you're going to remember for a long time? You really like how they turned out?
This year, the Greg Oden one was like the most exciting one I've probably written this year. Just because, like I said, I grew up watching the Blazers, and Greg Oden was such a big deal. And because my mom went to Ohio State, there's a lot of family members who love Greg Oden. So to be asking him questions in that interview was so it was like it was unusual because it was in a different room and there was way more reporters around. So just being a part of that and like actually asking three questions and feeling pretty good about how the interaction went, and then um, Greg Oden is a tricky character, or yes, you know, he's a person, but in like terms of writing, he's a tricky character to write about because there's a lot of just it's a complicated like past, and I tried to be really careful with how I wrote it in a way that was like sensitive to everything, while also just telling the story. And I was happy with how it turned out because now that I'm actually at the games, it feels a little bit more pressure. Um, like it used to feel like at Blazers Edge a little bit. I was riding and like there was a bit of a anonymity, if that's how you say that. But now it's like, oh, like I met Greg Oden, like, and I shook his hand, and I don't. There's just more like a little bit more weight on what I'm
Yeah.
writing. So
That's exactly what I was going to say. It says it kind of sounds like you're sort of like feeling the weight of not like the bad weight, but like the like
The
The
responsibility.
there you go.
Yes, there's a responsibility now. It's like, yeah, like if I write something stupid, like Scoot Henderson's gonna be like, "Hey, what the hell, dude?" Or like, and like, not that you can't criticize people, but because that is a part of the job that I'm trying to like figure out and learn. But uh, yeah, just to move, yeah, more, just realize, oh, these are people, and I'm now that I'm actually in the room with them, try to do justice by how you talk about them.
Yeah, and I can imagine that like the responsibility feel even though like you still have the power of the pen or whatever, but like the responsibility of knowing that like he knows Connor, he's met you, he knows your face, and you're gonna see him again. And
Hmm.
it takes sometimes months or years to cultivate good relationships that lead to good stories. But like sometimes only one mistake to ruin it. Um,
Yes,
and
yeah.
so like, just to like I can't imagine what it would be like to have to like think that way all the time because you want to be really good at your job and also like honor the relationships that people are investing in you as well.
Wholeheartedly.
I was just thinking about like how, we had that like in Portland, we had, Jason Quick and Raymond Felton like like challenging one another to a fight.
Is that what happened?
Isn't that what happened, Tara? Didn't like Raymond Felton
Well,
challenge Quick to a fight?
well, he invited anyone who wanted to come to his apartment to
Right,
come
to
to a
fight.
fight. But
But
I
I,
like,
remember CJ too had a spat with Jason Quick, I think,
yeah.
about he was like I think Jason called him a dirty player, and then he was like, "I'll like catch me driving out of this game in my like BMW or something like that." Like I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, I bet CJ did. I bet that did not sit well with CJ. Well, so kind of along the same lines we've been talking about, what has this year been like in terms of like, okay, so the Blazers are on a 4-game winning streak. And to a lot of people, that's the worst thing that could be happening right now. Like, how do you balance that when you're covering the team? Do you just have to like block out what the fans are saying so that you can like wins are pretend wins are good, or like how do you manage that? That must be really hard to balance.
yeah, they're a complicated team to cover for sure." I actually I because I listened to your last podcast and you talked about, I think it was you, Terry, talked about toxic positivity and not being too positive. That's something that I've been dealing with a little bit writing about the team this year, because not even just from like a fan perspective, when I because I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be an objective reporter now, but
Mhm.
like even just as like a fan of sports, I always try to find like the good parts, even if it's not the Blazers. So this year, like, I like to find the parts that are good, and I know they're bad, the team is bad, but I'm trying to find like the silver linings, and at times it feels almost like disingenuous to do that. And I think sometimes Blazers edge readers really just want you to like put the knife in this team a lot. So it's been like a tricky balance of, yeah, like finding the right line of, because they do suck, and we everybody kind of knows it. So I don't think there's too much to be done about writing that they suck.
But
If
now
that
they're
makes sense.
winning,
And now they're winning, and
and they're winning with the on the wrong because of the play of the wrong people, and it's
yeah,
just, to me it's just like I would find it hard to figure out, or maybe it would be that it's just that there's so much that is out of control of my control as a fan. Like I cannot control who the front office has put on the team. I can't control who the coach chooses to play. I can't control whether or not somebody can make I can't control any of it. All I can control is like how I feel at the end of the game. And now I'm not supposed to feel good when they win a game, and that's really confusing.
it is confusing. My aunt texted me today or yesterday. It was like 4 wins in a row, hooray! And I was like, no, this is not good. This is I I've largely been trying to just like cover the players on the court because I'm doing a lot of game recaps, so I haven't gotten too big picture on when they're maybe doing things that I dislike such as like this win. I've been actually they've been on the road for this winning streak, so or for a lot of it. So maybe I would talk about it a little bit more. But yeah, it's I just try to I don't know. Yeah, the players. Okay, the point I'm trying to make is that the players, like Jeremy Grant and Anthony Simons play a good game. Like I don't know, it's hard to write that it's bad, I guess.
Yeah, well, when you're trying to develop relationships with them and
And
then
that too, there's a whole yeah.
yeah. Well, so what do you think? So Rose and I have been trying to rebrand tanking and we're rebranding it to lottery bound. And so the phrase is that we're the team like we're on the development express bound for lottery station. Does that resonate with you at all?
I yeah,
Lottery bound instead of
I
tanking.
I like, especially now, especially the first half of the season, because they're not tanking right now. This is um, I enjoy the reframing, and I've enjoyed the gifs and the memes that you've put on Blue Sky of the train.
There's just more options really than tanking.
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone's posting the same tanking memes over and over and over again. You run out of tanks to post.
yeah, that's
I was
true.
so excited when I found a gif of a train with an elephant coming out of it because that was just like the elephant in the room and the lottery bound train. It was all coming together. I loved it.
No, yeah, you're just missing like some sort of symbol for spirit
Yes.
sprinkled on top of it. Yeah, I'm a fan of lottery bound and development because and there's been times fans have been mad about winning this year, but some of those wins have come when like Scoot's playing well and Donovan's playing well, and so like I wasn't getting mad about that. So this has been the first time where like the wins felt kind of icky, for like lack of a better word.
Yeah, good wins are wins where you're developing players, the
Yeah,
future players are figuring it out. Like those I'll say those wins I'll take as many of those wins as we can get. The ones where like the young guys are playing really well and we're seeing something that we can look forward to seeing more of in the future. I will take any one of those wins. The only other thing I will say is like we have almost as many wins on the road as we have at home, and we don't have that many wins just sort of, you know, for the season. I'm like, could they just like get those wins at home? Because
Yeah.
like the home fans can enjoy them. This win streak on the road does
Yeah.
nothing for me.
Stop
They're
wasting them on the
icky.
road.
They're just playing Jeremy Grant like 35 minutes and Anthony Simons 37 minutes to win on the road. Save that for home if you want to do that.
yeah, they seem to save their worst blowout losses for home, which is like I didn't think about that, but all those really bad losses were at home.
Yeah, and
Um,
we're like we have eight, I think eight road wins and nine home, eight road wins, nine home wins. Like,
eh.
can we get like just put them all at home? Just try to do all the winning in Portland. We'll be really excited. We'll cheer so loud.
I have to say, for the most part, most of the I still feel like this year has been more fun than last year. Um,
Everyone was injured for like the whole season last year. That felt
yeah, yeah. So
boo.
we've gotten more minutes with the guys that we haven't gotten as many as we want, but we've gotten more minutes with the guys that we want to see develop. And I was really glad to see that Klingon came back. That was rough to have him out. So, so Connor, we told you about the playlist and asked if you had any songs that you would like to add. And you said you had some, so tell us what you want to add to the playlist and we will put it right on there.
Yeah, so my first selection is a song called 5 Years Time by Noah and the Whale. Are you familiar with this song or Noah and the Whale?
Wasn't that a movie?
There
Or
was a
No,
movie
Squid
called
and
The
the Whale.
Squid and the
oh,
Whale,
Squid and the Whale is a
the
movie.
and the band name is like a reference to Squid and the Whale. So
okay.
yeah, you aren't totally
So
off
not
track.
that out of it.
hmm They were part of the British New Folk wave of like the early 2010s and like late 2000s. That so like Mumford and Sons, Noah and the Whale, kind of like that type of folk music. And my brother was very into that in high school, so I got some of that passed down. So this song, um, 5 years time, it's about a relationship, and It's this guy looking into the future 5 years in 5 years time. And he's like imagining what it could be like. And they're at the zoo and it's amazing and it's so happy. But he's also like, but odds are that's probably not going to happen and I might not even know you in 5 years. But like he's comforted by the thought of this of he enjoys the fantasy of it. And I thought that that is the perfect analogy for being a rebuilding team. It's all future oriented. It's all what hope may like I would love to imagine Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp being an all-star in 5 years and Tumani Kamara being like the defensive anchor of a championship contending team. Probably odds are not going to happen. Like that's you have to get really lucky with all that, but it's nice to think about. So I think that just really encapsulates the hope and the fan experience of being in a rebuild.
I love that. Nailed it.
Nice.
Yeah. That's a also I'll say like one of the thing you just said something that I think about all the time when I see all the like amateur stat heads get deep into the statistics and all this stuff like that. And I'm like, you know that at the end of all of this, the ultimate goal, the ultimate outcome that everybody wants is to win a championship. And to win a championship, you must be an outlier. Everybody does everything that they think that they're supposed to do to win a championship, but most teams don't. Every year, 29 teams don't win a championship and one does. And plenty of really good teams never won championships. You are trying to be an outlier. You don't want to be part of the fat, like the fat part of the curve.
That feels good to hear after did you read that Bill Oram piece about Scoot Henderson where there's like the scouts are not into it, just were not impressed with Scoot. It,
They
I heard about it.
it bummed me out.
I have not read that because it's in the Oregonian and I do not have a subscription to the Oregonian. Is he saying that scouts now are saying that
Yeah, they're like, we don't
about
see
him?
it.
Well,
Yeah.
what was the problem with them 2 years ago when they were saying that Scoot was everything in the whole world? Like, so they were just as wrong as anybody else.
That's a good point. Yeah. Then now they're like, we always saw it that it was bad. Um,
Also,
oh,
scouts don't get to see like special stuff. When guys are on like a team, like they only see what we see. They don't see, you know what I mean? Like they don't see anything. They don't go to like see them play in a gym where nobody else is there and watch them play in like, EuroLeague or whatever. Like they're not doing anything special to see like more stuff from them. Like, sure.
And
Sure,
were
scout.
they scouts in terms of like scouts for people entering the NBA, or were they like team scouts who were scouting in game preparation?
I actually wasn't sure, but they
Okay.
just said like Eastern Conference Team Scout.
Okay.
Hmm.
Aren't the
I
but
mean, what do they know?
the scouts that prepare for like the teams, aren't those coaches? Coaches prepare like they like it's members of the
Essentially,
coaching
yeah,
staff.
they're just like an extension.
Well, I think because scouts watch and then report to the coaches, and then the coaches report to the head coach, I think.
Hmm. The one thing I will say about that song is I think there's one problem with the metaphor, and it's that at the beginning of this relationship, they're really happy and things are like great. And I don't know if everybody's super happy here. So maybe I think for the metaphor to work if and when the Blazers are really good in 5 years, maybe then it's like we're looking back and like, oh, remember that how we were bad and now it's fun. Like so it would have to be reminiscing on this in a good way. Should I
I
get
like
to? Oh yeah.
I like to think that when we all individually met the Blazers in our lives, we were happy with them. Whether it was when we were really small, whether it was when we discovered basketball as adults, like we were all really happy with that relationship, or we probably wouldn't be fans of this team. So maybe we can like extend it for past 5 years and just be like when we became fans, we were really excited about this fandom, and the metaphorical 5 years can we can kind of like fudge that.
Yeah, forever.
Well, and think how excited we always are, like right after the preseason, right? Or right before the season starts. That's when we're in that sweet spot where the world is the possibility. We love everything that's happened. We love everything they've said, and like we're just sure that this is how it's going to be. And then play starts, and we go, oh, okay, reality.
Yeah, I felt that this year because at training camp, you're hearing the talk is so positive. So
Hmm.
yeah, I was, yeah,
We're all in love at
we're in it.
during preseason. We're all in love.
I did have a second song. It's Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell. I've been going through a bit of a Joni Mitchell phase lately, and I just actually watched a documentary about her, so she was on the mind. And Both Sides, is it both? It's either
Both
Both
sides
Sides or
now.
Both Sides Now. Anyway, yeah. So
Hmm.
that song is my favorite by her, and it's a very melancholy song about going through life's, ups and downs, and she sees it from both sides now. And I think as Blazers fans and people around the Blazers, we have now seen 10 years of Damian Lillard of pretty great stuff, and now we're on the other end, and it's we have a new perspective on life and sports.
Can I ask you a question? So I love this Joni Mitchell song, but I'm curious the version that she recorded when she was young or the version she recorded when she was old.
If you'll notice, I very purposefully put the one she recorded when she was young. I just like that one more. It,
The old one that she recorded much later feels so much more melancholy. Like her voice is like you can like hear the age, the years on her voice, and you're like, this is someone who's been through it.
yeah, no, before it was like she'd been through a little bit, and now it's like, oh, she's lived life. She has truly seen both sides. And
Yeah.
it's really more it's like more ambient, and because there's no happy guitar kind of leading through it, it's like a lot more like deep sounds accompanying her.
Yeah. I was just curious because like we don't always get multiple recordings of the same song from an artist. And that's a song where I was like, well, I'm really happy she recorded it like so many years apart because the earlier one is a great song and I would have never missed the older one. But when I hear the older one and then I go back and I listen to the younger one, I'm like, oh, you sweet summer child.
Maybe
There's so
in
much more.
if I come on this podcast in 3 years, then I will add that version, depending on how things go.
Yeah. I love it. That's a great addition and also like a little bit like I don't know, like it reminds us that there's still a lot more left to come with our team. Even though we feel like, oh, I've seen it all. It's like, but you haven't because there's still a bunch of stuff that's left to come.
Well, and that song, is about how there's, you have to see it from both sides to have the whole thing. Like, imagine if you, like, so as the Blazers, we truly have fans of the Blazers, we truly have seen it. Like, we've seen the worst years where there would be like one person sitting in an entire section, right? And then to, the years that where they were the best. We don't remember the championship, but we do still remember many highlights when things were really great. Imagine if you were the fan of a team that's just always good and never goes through it. You're not actually experiencing the whole thing. And this song talks about how like you have to experience both to get the full picture. So we're actually, ahead of the game as opposed to all those teams who just like win all the time.
No, this is good for. I think it's was good for my like childhood to grow up and experience sport heartbreak. I think it's the
Get it
best
early.
lesson. Yeah, just learn those lessons quick.
I remember going to like duck games when I was a little kid in like the 90s. And I remember like you could go and walk up and buy a ticket the day of and walk into the stadium and sit wherever. And there was nobody there. And, maybe they would get like a couple really good wins in the year and you'd be really excited about that. Um, and now it's like, a circus. Like now it's like when I think about what it was like to go as a kid and I go now, I'm like, oh, This feels like Ticketmaster like runs my hometown like football arena. But it's just weird because like you think about how like I think sports transformed over time, but like seeing your team transform is really, I don't know, it like makes you feel like grown, like and like grown up. Like I feel old now when I like look at stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, I used to just walk in and sit wherever and you know, you can't really do that anymore.
Well, and I like the dichotomy too of like when things are bad, some of the things are actually really good, like the price of tickets. Another thing, like right now, like while the Blazers are not great, is as a season ticket holder, the perks just roll in because they're like, please stay. Don't give up your season tickets. Here's more gifts. Here's more gifts. So, like, when things are bad, there are still some things that, you know, are enjoyable.
Well, that's why I was able to go to so many games during the early Brandon Roy era, was because the tickets were so cheap that like, yeah, my mom bought a lot, and dad quickly went away once they got really good. I
Yeah.
probably went, yeah, I've probably been to just, yeah, I think we went to like 5 games a year, and now I think I've been to, before I got the pass, I went to like 2 games all of high school.
Wow. Well, and the better that they get, yeah, the harder the tickets are going to be to come by, the more expensive they're going to be, and the just fewer people are going to be able to participate.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, I wanted to move us on because Connor, before we finished tonight, I wanted to get your perspective on something that Tara and I do each year called the What Awards. Each year we have a little collection of awards we like to give out at the end of the season. And this year our awards are Most Valuable Blazer, and that's open to interpretation. It's not necessarily about contributions on the court. It's about contributions broadly. Most Improved Blazer, Blazer Legend, Bench Celebrator Man of the Year, Best Accessorizer, and then we also have Social Media Play of the Year. Um, Blazer Legend is for somebody I will say who is it can be it's somebody who's not on the team this year, um, but has been a Blazer in the past and did something that contributed to something about either the team or the franchise or the city, something that we really appreciate about them. Last year, Carmelo Anthony won because he came and debuted his special strain of marijuana here on 420, and we nominated him because we thought that that was really great that he like considers us part of his like journey, because it's very easy to like probably forget that he was here, but he would like remembered us and thought of all the places I want to go. He could have gone to Denver, didn't go to Denver. He brought it here on 420. Um, Bench Celebrator is exactly what you think it is. It's the person with the best bench celebrations. Best accessorizer is the player who wears the best accessories. We have done most improved fits before. This year Tara is mad at me because I made her go with best accessorizer. And then social media play of the year is like the best social anything about the Blazers. It could be from the main account, it could be from a fan, it could be from one of the players themselves, it can be whatever. And so you don't have to have ideas for all of these, but we thought since you have a unique perspective that you might have some insight into any of these awards.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is accessorizer. Would have to be DeAndre Ayton. Um, from the first day on media day, which was my first day. I don't know if you all remember what he wore on media day, but he had like the biggest earring, like diamond earring and chains, the whole thing. That was, and he might have even had a ring on. I can't remember if the ring or not, but it was just like I was like, oh, like this is NBA players have money. Like it was very loud accessories. And then honorable mention to Donovan Clingan for his big chain that he's been wearing lately. I think it has 23. I think is it. I gotta look at it again. It's either his number or it might. Okay,
It
I
says
think
DC, I think.
yeah, DC. Might even say DC 23. What is
Maybe
his
he
number?
has two.
Oh,
Maybe he
I've
has
only ever
two.
seen the one that says just DC in
Okay.
like a slanted kind of font.
Yep. Okay, that's the one I'm thinking of. So yeah, that and he always talks about how he's learning from DA, and maybe that's like he's picking up his chain and like accessory game. MVP or yeah, Blazers MVP. I think it has to be Denny Avdia for me. He's just
Most
my
valuable Blazer.
yeah, most valuable Blazer. He's just been the best player, the most consistently. And then I'll give one more. It's another honorable mention, but also Donovan Clingan kind of gets an honorable mention there too because I think he's been the most consistently exciting young player, and uh, for a season that's like built on hope, his blocks in his that monster game against Minnesota he had was just the most exciting the arena has been all season. So he needs some love for that too.
I love that. Also, I'll say like one of the things about Donovan Clingan, Denny Avdia, Tumani Kamara, one of the things that it has made me like dream about is like having a really great team one day that's also good at defense because say what you want about the Blazers. We've had a lot of really good teams as of late. A lot of those teams with Damian Lillard were really amazing. They were never good at defense. We were always just trying to play passable defense so that the offense could do its like could have the impact that we needed to have without giving it all away. And so like as I watch those guys play, I'm like, you guys play two-way basketball. Look at you. Look at you with all your rebounds and your blocks and how good you are at switching on defense and nobody's lost or confused. Like,
Well, and capitalizing on that defense,
mm,
which is what Denny does, which is that he
always.
grabs the ball and goes. I mean, like I agree with you about the most valuable Blazer with Denny, just for right now, if I had to give it away right now, just because when he was gone, the team looked the other players looked like they had no idea what to do. They just looked lost. And even that one game that two was out, it wasn't as noticeable, but when Denny was gone, it was like, whoa, like there's something missing.
They played slower. I swear they played slower. And Tara and I we were at a game together and we were like, look at how much Tumani's dribbling. This shouldn't happen. There's too many dribbles in here. But normally if he gets the ball and it's not the right spot, he just passes it back to Denny and then they like go again. But like Tumani was out there dribbling and getting in the mix, and I'm like, oh God, get it to somebody who really dribbles.
Denny plays so hard that I would imagine it's like if you're playing on the floor with him, it must motivate you to do it too. And he's yeah, the offense looks different when he's out there. Like people actually move and cut, and his speed is just that play where he ran. And I'm gonna say that play, hoping you guys know what it is, where he went like coast to coast and dunked it with like one leg, and then like pumped up the Moda Center. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
I that was gave me
Didn't he
tingles.
block it on the other end too?
I think he yeah either blocked it or he stole it. It was one of the yeah, and I was like whoa, that's haven't seen a lot of that this year, but that felt good.
I will say like I challenge anybody, please anybody, if anybody notices any other Blazer, I will talk about this all season long. I've seen Denny Avdia more than once call for a sub because he was gassed. And who else calls like has called for a sub because they were gassed. They put everything they had on the court in that shift and they like he couldn't go anymore. And I was just like, I want more of that energy. Somebody who just is out there giving 100% at all times until like their shift is over and then they can't go. They got to rest.
It's like I think Klingen's probably like the only other guy
Yeah, maybe.
who could do that, which is why they're both my MVPs.
All right, I love that. And I appreciate you calling out the chains because the chain work this year is phenomenal. And the other thing I'll say about DeAndre Ayton is that I also noticed, and I said this to Tara earlier on in the season, he also is the only one who's come out with like a big old belt buckle. Like a at one game he had like a bejeweled belt buckle. And I was like, oh, like normally we're looking at like chains and earrings and rings, sometimes hats belt buckles. I mean, I guess Denny pulled out a belt buckle when he was in San Antonio or Dallas or something, but yeah, the the like iced out belt buckle was pretty amazing.
That makes me think of, have you noticed Matisse and Jeremy's shoes? They've been wearing the hand
The
A
shoes
five
with the
controversial,
the
fingers.
yeah,
fingers. Yeah. Oh, it's
a
controversial.
controversial choice.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what if I'm pro or against it, but it's caught my eye.
I saw Brooke did a little feature about it on TV, which maybe you don't get to see because you're always like in the arena. But she was talking about how like, I guess he doesn't wear shoes a lot when he's there. And so this is a way for him to feel like he's barefoot but still wear shoes or something. And I
Who,
was like,
Matisse?
yeah, Matisse. And I was like, well, just let Matisse go in his socks. It's fine. Or get him some slippers or like, because I had this joke earlier. I was like, did Matisse just move into the Moda Center? Because he's like, I see him walking around like, hey, like chatting up like Kevin and Lamar when they're off the air and just greeting everybody, handing out score sheets to everybody. Like, just let him wear slippers.
Yeah.
Actually, didn't Chris Murray say that his slippers had something to do with Matisse? Because he walked into the arena one day in like what looked
Slippers.
like Uggs or something, like fuzzy slippers.
Mm-hmm.
Just let him let him if he wants to be barefoot, let him be barefoot. It's fine.
Um, that floor's probably pretty dirty. He might not want to be barefoot.
Yeah, okay, fine. Slippers, socks, get him some house slippers.
Okay, so this talk kind of makes me want to share my take.
Okay, we can go to takes.
It's going to be my talk about controversial. This is going to be a very controversial take. And I was actually not even going to share it because it's so controversial. So I just want to start with that. Oh, I can't believe I'm going to say this.
Okay, wait, sorry. Wait for a sec. Tara, it's Saturday, January 25th. What's your take?
I don't think Jerami Grant is the best dressed player on the team. I don't. I think it could be DeAndre, it could be Denny, it could be somebody else on a different night. Everybody is stepping up, and I completely appreciate everything that Jerami does fashion-wise and everything that he has brought to the team and the way he has elevated and raised the bar for everybody on the team. But when you raise the bar for everyone on the team, they all come up and they all start to show out. And I think that we've reached a point where he's comfortable, he looks great, he's got a point of view, he has like, a bunch of like, very regular outstanding pieces that he mixes together. Like, totally should get credit for the way that he's packaged like all of these different bits so that he can like mix and match. But I just don't think he's the best dressed player on the team anymore. That's my take.
Oh my goodness. Put that one in the group chat when you're done, Tara. See what they have to say about that. I will say I think that we have a lot of guys that stepped up their game. Jabari looks great. Like think about Jabari when he got here versus Jabari now. He loves a big coat now. He's doing more with his hair.
Yeah.
Maybe, and it's probably Jerami Grant's influence. This is like he has raised them, and now they are surpassing him. And I think that's the circle of NBA fashion life.
Maybe he is the fashion vet. He's like filling his vet role by like helping the young guys find their fashion voice.
Yeah,
I mean,
and like
Dean's maybe doing that for Donovan.
You know what? Jerami Grant actually, because like I said, I only just got locker room access, so I've been kind of making like the rounds on like formal introductions with guys and just saying like, "Hi, I'm Connor." I did it to Jerami the other day, and he said, "I like your glasses," and it was like, I think I blushed. I was like, "This is from him. This is the best compliment I've ever received on anything regarding clothes." So that was. I wanted to share it. I was very excited about that.
I can't believe that wasn't the first thing you said when we started the podcast. I would have introduced you as Conor Bergin, who Jerami Grant said that he liked his glasses.
Yeah, I'm putting in the resume. Also, you know what? I stole these. My brother bought the same pair a year before I did, and I bought them. So I jacked his fashion. He should have been complimenting my brother.
No, 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 no. Because you know what? It's not about the piece. It's about how you pull it off, sir.
Thank
So
you.
there it is. Conor Bergin with the great glasses, who nobody else could pull off like you. So you gotta,
Bam.
yeah,
Thank you.
you
I
didn't jack
appreciate
anyone's
that.
style.
Now I feel
You made
better.
it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Uh, Amazing. I love that. Tara, that is the hottest take. But also I don't think many people are gonna be like, oh my gosh, we're riot at Tara's at dawn. Because we have a lot of guys who have stepped up their fashion game, even though some of them are wearing a sweatsuit every day still.
And it's not to take away everything that Jerami has done and contributed, but sometimes the student becomes the teacher and, or they surpass the teacher or whatever the saying is.
Yeah, that's right. Um, awesome.
So that's my take.
That's your take. Connor, what about you? Do you have a take today?
I do. Not as hot as that, but just growing up, as I mentioned, with a lot of sports heartbreak and not having a team ever get the big one, I think if your team has won a championship in the last 20 years, you can shut up about everything. Like about I don't feel for you at all. If your team got close and you lost, if the refs screwed you over in the championship game and you lost, I don't care. Like you felt it and you got it, and not some people don't. Some people die and they never get it once. So I think I started feeling this a little bit when Warriors fans were being so like upset a few years ago. I was like, "What? You just had the biggest dynasty that like ever, and now you're gonna cry? Like, do you realize how lucky you are?" And it came back because I was watching the college football playoffs the other day, or like now okay, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, and Georgia was losing, and they cut to the crowd, and these college girls were like crying, and I think Georgia won the last two championships. I think, or they've definitely won like two in the last 3 years. So I'm like, there's nothing you have to cry about. And I would hope by the time my team gets to like the championship and they win, and then they lose, I hope that I would have the perspective and the grace to just be like, you know what, we got one, and cool, I'm good for now.
That's an amazing take. That's an amazing take, especially when we have a lot of like franchises around the NBA that do seem like they feel entitled to championships. Maybe
Yeah,
the team you mentioned, maybe the team in Southern
I was
California,
gonna say
maybe that one in
Lakers.
Boston.
Shut
Like,
up. Everybody, I just want everybody to shut up about their teams and how upset they are. I saw somebody was like, "Man, Boston, we got our first title since 2008." I was like, "2008?
That's
So
yesterday.
that's so recent." And if you're a kid, you get like a pardon from the rule. If you weren't alive, if you weren't conscious, you can be sad. But if you were alive and well, and no, I don't want to hear it.
You were in school.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that take. That
So good.
it makes me feel alive because like everybody says, "Oh, well, your team did win a championship." I'm like, "Yeah, before I was born."
Mm-hmm.
Like so like, like I understand that we have won a championship and we're lucky because some franchises have not won one. But I also feel like I'm allowed to be a little bit salty because I've never seen one from my team. Like, and also, because like, I'll say like, in some ways, I felt very akin to the Buffalo Bills fans from the 90s because the Blazers, there was like a couple years in there where we were so like, it felt like it was going to happen. It was like one of these years it's just gonna, and then it just didn't. And I was like, I've just been waiting with bated breath all these years and it just never happened. And now we're like deep into a rebuild.
Which is sad because I guess by my logic, if you were alive and well for the 78 or 77 one, you would have to shut up when Terry Porter and Clyde Drexler lost. You'd have to be quiet. So I don't know. Maybe I won't. Maybe I won't handle it well, even if we win.
Maybe you'll be a sore winner.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
we lost Connor, but I'm sure he will come back
Yes, I
in a
hope
moment
so.
so that we can finish out with your take.
Yes.
Let us hold on for a moment. I hope
I
his
have to,
internet didn't go out.
yeah. Or like power, all of the power.
Is it
Um,
windy out?
I don't know, to be honest. I have to be honest though, Tara. I'm shocked that neither of us have ever had that take.
About Jeremy or about the
No,
20 years?
about not complaining about winning a
Oh
championship.
yeah. Oh no, his laptop died.
Oh,
Oh no, poor guy. Well, should we just go ahead and um well, maybe he'll have a chance to plug it in. So let's keep talking for a moment about what
okay.
you're saying about us not having that last one. I'm gonna text him for just one sec.
Okay.
Um
It just feels like a kind of take that we might have had on this podcast over all of these years, and for some reason we never thought of it, but it's brilliant. And I feel that in my bones when teams feel entitled to championships and they're like disappointed when they don't win because they expected to win.
Well, I think about the franchise that we sometimes bring up, which is Toronto. They finally quieted down about it this year now that they have, are officially not good. But remember how annoying Toronto fans have been since they won that one championship?
Yeah.
And like it's just like you can't win one championship because you got Kawhi Leonard for 1 year and then act like you're entitled to as many championships after that. And it's yeah, I'm surprised we haven't had that take for. But like when you look at Dallas and they won their one championship, I didn't hear like a giant chorus of complaints after that.
I'm
Yay,
back.
Connor's back.
Sorry.
Welcome back.
It happens. We're talking about a couple other like one-off championship winners and the difference between like what we heard. Toronto won and we just never heard the end of it after they got their one championship. But like I was just saying, I don't remember after Dallas won their one championship. What I remember coming out of Dallas was everybody being shocked and excited and grateful that they
That's
won theirs.
that's
Yeah.
that's what it should be. Like I always think about the Cubs and how they went 100. It was like 109 years. They never won.
Yeah.
I haven't thought of the reality that the Blazers might win or might never win in my life, and so that's why I'm like just one. And I actually was at the Cubs year, because I was in college in
Mhm.
Chicago. I went to the game, the playoffs, the next year when they lost and got eliminated, and this group of fans around me, I didn't really care, but I was there. These group of fans were like toasting, and they're like one final toast as World Series champs, and I was like, that's what I want to be like if I ever get there. So
Very classy. If anyone is going to be classy about it, it's going to be Connor, who Jeremy Grant likes his glasses.
Deep in my bones, I thought that if we were going to win a championship with Dame, it was going to be like the Dallas team. Like it would be like
Yeah.
that and it would never happen again. And we'd just get to send Dame off into the sunset like Dirk did, where
Mhm.
like, remember, like, I don't know if you guys remember this, but like Dirk, as he was starting to like age, like Cuban would just ask him, like, what contract do you want? Tell me what you want and we'll sign it together. And Dirk was never super greedy about it. He never wanted to like take more money just because he could take it. He wanted to take something that was fair to him that also allowed them enough money to like spend on other players. And he just got to like ride it into the sunset. He got his ring and then he got to pick his contract and retire in the city that he played in his whole career. I thought that was going to be us and it wasn't.
I know, I know. Well, look at us saying nice things about Dallas. Rose, I think
Okay.
it's
Which
your
is
turn. What's
which
your
is to
take?
say I don't care if Dallas wins a championship again right now. So, um my take okay, speaking of spicy takes, Tara, my take's gonna be spicy.
Okay.
Because I thought about it last night because it like because I was like I was really annoyed at the win last night, I'll just say, because I like couldn't believe we were watching this terrible team try to lose against us and we were playing and coaching like we were trying to win with our vets on the floor till the very end and we won by a little. And I was like, to win by a little against a team trying to take a dive feels real bad. So this is my take. I've been thinking about this take for a while. It's been simmering because I've been trying to think about like what do I think is going on with the Blazers? Because everybody's screaming about like, does Cronin not understand odds? Does this that? I'm like, I don't think these guys are stupid. I don't think that that makes any sense, but I was starting to think about it and I was like, what if like the coach and the GM are not on the same page about what's happening here? And I was thinking a little bit about Moneyball. And there's this line in Moneyball where Philip Seymour Hoffman says, I'm trying to play my team in a way that I can uh, explain it in job interviews next winter. Because like in Moneyball, the manager doesn't have a contract for the following year. And I was like, what if they're not on the same page? What if like what we're seeing on the court is not what like the front office really wants? And then I started thinking about the Pistons last year. And this is my real take. What if Scoot's getting Jaden Ivey'd right now? Do you know what happened to Jaden Ivey last year?
Did he get shut
Monty
down?
Williams, Monty Williams wouldn't play him. Monty Williams would play him and then he would punish him when he made mistakes and pull him out of the starting lineup and bring him off the bench. Jaden Ivey was their fifth pick in the previous season. He was a sophomore that year. And suddenly they were playing him like he had to earn every minute that he got. But he was the only one on that team who was being like played that way. And Monty Williams did something very similar to another guy we know, DeAndre Ayton in Phoenix. I'm not saying that Chauncey Billups is necessarily like Monty Williams, but I am saying, what if he's doing the same thing to Scoot right now? Because I feel like his role has been inconsistent. So he's probably playing the best basketball that we've seen him play, and he's not allowed to play through his mistakes. He's getting pulled out of the starting lineup as soon as like Ant is feeling better or whatever. Like, and if we've all been talking about how like this guy's supposed to be the future, I don't know. I just don't understand why we would be doing that to this player who is supposed to be somebody we are investing in long term. Why don't we let him play us through his mistakes? Why don't we give him consistent minutes to like be coached through those mistakes rather than just pulled and punished for those mistakes?
Maybe
And I'll
that's
say
why
like
Joe was on the road trip.
maybe, I don't know. Maybe Chauncey's trying to get fired. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that we saw that happen with Jaden Ivey in Detroit, and it was everybody thought that Jaden Ivey was going to be on the trade block because of how they were playing him at the beginning of the season. And the Pistons were, last year the Pistons were horrible. There was no reason to not let your like top five pick who is in his second year play through his mistakes on a team that was that bad. And then they fired him, and then they hired their third coach in like 3 years or whatever. But Jaden Ivey this season is having the best season he's had as a professional player. I mean, until he was injured. But
Okay, so I have some questions.
okay.
Does Detroit have an equivalent to Anthony Simons, who is a veteran on a bigger contract, who, according to
No.
hierarchy, needs to play?
So no, not really. And the thing is that what they were actually doing in Detroit was like even worse. They were playing Killian Hayes instead of Jaden Ivey, and Killian Hayes, as you know, is not in the league anymore. So they were playing Killian Hayes, but they did have some vets that were
Okay.
like kind of injured and whatnot, but they did what they were supposed to do and they traded them all.
Well, so I think what you're talking about is Chauncey using the same coaching tactic that Monty Williams used,
Yes.
which is
And
pull him if you can't. Yeah.
he's treating him differently and I don't know why. And he's not allowed to play through the mistakes, even though the franchise has said to us that they're investing in him as part of the future theoretically. Like, I don't know that necessarily that the front office and the coach are on the same page. So when we see what we see on the floor and we're like, what does this make any sense? Maybe it doesn't.
Well, that's
Maybe
what I mean by like, I was trying to figure out like, why is Joe on this road trip? I don't know how many road trips he makes. And that's the thing. Does anybody know? Connor, do you know? Does like Joe usually go on road trips? I can't remember them highlighting the fact, at least very often, that the GM was on a road trip. Maybe they go all the time and they just never talk about it. But they talked about it this week. And so I was like, why is Joe on this road trip? And I was like, is he observing the coach? Is he, but then it's like he can observe the coach like in front of the bench every night. But then I was like, yeah, but maybe the coach coaches one way at home, and maybe he felt like he had more leeway on the road when he wasn't coaching like literally 10 feet away from the GM. So I don't know. That was my crazy conspiracy theory.
That's getting spicy.
It's a total conspiracy theory. I just totally made that up. I just absolutely pulled that out of thin air because I was just trying to figure out like why is he there? But
Maybe I want. Well, I know I like the conspiracy that maybe he was there just to like troll Miami. Uh,
that was definitely more fun.
but yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know yet how if Joe like how often he goes on road trips. It does seem like he's. It seems like when they're on the road trips, that's when you figure out that he was at like a remix game. So yeah, it does seem unusual.
Yeah, I'm not saying I know exactly why, but I feel like I'm seeing something very similar happening to Scoot that we saw happen to Jaden Ivey in Detroit, and I don't know why. I don't know why other guys' roles seem to be a little bit more consistent. I'll say Donovan hasn't been as consistent, but he's also been injured more than Scoot this year. Scoot has been healthy this year, and like last year, I would say like he was, injured so much of the season, it was hard to say what was, just based purely on circumstances or whatever. But this year, Scoot's been healthy, and it's like shocking to me how inconsistent his minutes have been and what his role is supposed to be. Like, we were all like marveling. We're like, oh my gosh, there's so much off-ball Scoot. What's going on? And that was actually like one of the things I was thinking about, Connor, when you brought up like that Bill Oram article, which was like I saw one of the like top line quotes from some scout was like, I don't think he's a point guard. And I'm like, do you not think he's a point guard though? Because Chauncey plays him off the ball so much? Because when I watch him as the point guard, I think he looks like pretty comfortable in that role being a distributor.
I think he looks like a point guard when he,
Yeah.
the most recent stretch was this was the first time where I really was like, what the hell when they took him back out of the starting lineup because he was playing so well and was getting so many minutes, and it was just like I sometimes would get the other times when maybe they would play him less or something, but this one seemed just unexplainable. Like keep it going. Like why change? He's playing the best he ever has. Just don't mess with anything. Keep it going.
He had like one poor game where he was in foul trouble the
he
whole
fouled out,
time.
yeah.
And like, but like, and then after that he was gone. And I was like, is this you not letting him play through those mistakes? Are you punishing him for poor play? And are we really in the business of doing that when we are where we are as a team and winning is not the most important thing, that we're not going to let him learn to play through those mistakes when he was putting together a string of really good games?
Yeah, he had those 5 games in a row where he played more than 30 minutes. And then he had the game where he fouled out in like something super fast, like 16 minutes or
And he
something.
came off the bench for that though too. That was the
Yeah.
first game they brought him back off the bench.
I understand the politics of him not starting, but I don't understand why he can't play more minutes.
I think that's a good distinction. Because yeah, Chauncey even said when they put him back to the bench a few weeks ago, it was right after one of his really good games, and he was like, the role doesn't change, the minutes are going to be the same. Like the minutes are going to be the same. Just like keep doing what you're doing, and it was like he played. I think still one of like the most minutes on the team that night, and the other night against Charlotte, I think he played 23. Yeah,
23.
so
Yeah.
like if you're gonna play him off the bench, at least play him 30 minutes.
Hmm.
Against a team that's not even trying to beat you. They were
Yeah.
like they were tanking via roster availability. Like all their best players were in street clothes.
I'm sure we'll be there soon. But in the meantime, the Blazers are on a 4-game winning streak. Yay. I'm trying to be happy about that. We've got a few more days until the trade down line. We'll see what happens. Who knows? Then we go on break, and then we have the famous Blazers end of the season. Let's just hope that the end of the season is actually going to be guys who are going to be playing on the team and not just 10-day guys. That's all I'm hoping for. Not that there's anything wrong with 10-day guys. Love me some 10-day guys. Delano Banton came to the team as a 10-day guy. Drew Eubanks came as a 10-day guy. It's not that I don't like 10-day guys, but I just want to see the end of this year being played primarily by people who are actually going to be on the team so we can watch them develop.
Yes, all of that. I want that's what I maybe that's what I really wish I was giving the Blazers is just like more minutes for guys who are going to be here 3 years from now or 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we should wrap it up. Connor, it has been so fun to talk to you and hear your story and get your takes, good takes, great music that you shared. What do you have coming up that people can watch for? How can people find your work?
Yeah, just on Blue Sky, I post all my articles there, and then every home game I do a series called From Press Row. That is just my recap from the night with quotes and some sort of story angle. So that's the stuff to look out for.
And the podcast.
Oh my God. Sorry, Brandon. And We Like the Blazers. I co-hosted with Brandon Goldner Mullen, new name. And yeah, we do that weekly. So check that out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, you can find me at TCB Biggs on Blue Sky. You can find Rose at Rose L. Harding, and you can find the What Podcast at We Have a Take on Blue Sky. And that is about it for this week. Thank you so much for listening, and go Blazers.